In my videos covering the FNAF games, I did my best to cover the basics of the gameplay mechanics and my strategy. But since it's a one-man show over here, I'm bound to forget something. So in this video, I'm going through your comments from the FNAF 1 video to share a little bit more info about the game. Before we jump into it though, I just want to say thank you all for 5,000 subscribers and all the support on the previous videos. I've been reading the comments, which is the main reason I decided to make this video. You guys pointed out a lot of really great info, which I wanted to highlight, so thank you for that. Also, to be clear, no hate to any commenters featured in this video. They're appearing here, it's because they brought up something interesting that I want to discuss in more detail. First up, we have the top comment on the FNAF 1 video, which brought up the low frame rate method of beating the game. Basically, Bonnie, Chica, and Freddy can only get you when you pull the cameras up. This means that even if the door switches stop working, as long as we sit idle in our office, we're safe from them. Of course, we'd still need to check on Foxy, right? Well, Foxy's progress on his stage is determined by the number of frames rendered. If we were to reduce the game's frame rate down to around 1 or 2 FPS, he wouldn't be able to leave the stage to get us. Thus, we can sit around and do nothing, even on 420 mode. The earliest mention of this strategy I could find on YouTube is in a video from Leftery. Ruffy Rockrash also made a video showcasing it, and Spiff did a short covering it shortly after. While this is a really cool way of pushing the game's code to its breaking point, it isn't really a typical playthrough. For this series, I'm trying to beat the games using the normal gameplay, so I won't typically cover these sorts of strategies in the videos. No shame in trying them out yourself, just not my cup of tea. On that note, although I am aware of the C and D keyboard shortcuts to skip the nights, I didn't want to skip straight to the end of the game. Partly because I wanted to beat the first 5 nights legitimately, and partly because it's easier to learn the gameplay if there's a slow increase in difficulty, rather than jumping into the deep end with Night 6 or Custom Night. In the original video, I kind of vaguely remarked about how bad the power is. Lemonade mentioned that if you AFK for the whole night, you are left with around 30% power remaining. I tested this on my own and checked Leftery and Ruffy Rockrash's videos, and I confirmed that on night 7 you are left with 28% power. For the sake of simplicity, I'm assuming that the power meter in the game refers to just the things in our office, such as the fan, ceiling light, door lights, and our camera monitor. That means that the fan and ceiling light combined uses 72% of our power during the custom night. This means that at most we could keep the fan and light running for 8 hours and 18 minutes on night 7. I'm not an employee of Phasma Entertainment, so I guess we'll never know exactly how they power the place. Based on these numbers, it's presumably like a AA battery. All I know is it's pretty pitiful. It was pointed out that I could likely have prevented Foxy from ever being a problem if I was a little faster with the cam flips. This is true. I think I was just trying to compensate for my overuse of the cameras on the previous nights and hadn't quite gotten the timing down. Just make sure to flip the cameras up at least every 5 seconds, preferably faster. I should also mention that I incorrectly said Chica goes back to the dining hall when she leaves. She actually goes back to Cam 4A. From there, she can either move to the dining hall or back up to the East Hall corner. Either way, she still needs to reappear on Cam 4B before she can get you, but it's worth noting that she might not be gone for very long. As Adriethel mentioned, the door button's clicking means the door is jammed. I knew this from a technical standpoint, but from a practical standpoint, it doesn't make much sense. Either way, it's good to know. If the doors are jammed, there are 2 options. 1, you can flip the camera up and down to get the jump scare over with. If it's super early in the night, I'd go with this option, that way you can restart quicker. 2, you can try to ride it out. If you're at 5 AM, you might still be able to win depending on how long you have left. If it's the right door that's jammed, you can close the left door to stop Foxy. If the left door is jammed, just hope for the best. Mikolaj commented about how it's more fun to spend time learning the strategy for a game on your own. I do agree with this to an extent. I always start these videos going in as blind as possible for at least the first 5 or 6 nights. I think it helps me to learn by making mistakes. That said, I've been a FNAF fan since 2014 when Markiplier posted his playthrough of FNAF 1. Although I'd never completed any of the FNAF games prior to this video, I wasn't going to be able to go in truly blind since I already had a vague understanding of the game mechanics. I also don't think there's any harm in looking up guides if you do get stuck. Some of my best childhood memories are of searching game FAQs for Kingdom Hearts guides to print off because I was horrible at the game. I did find that there was a pretty big difference between understanding the strategy in theory versus actually putting it into action. It's still satisfying to beat the challenge either way, especially when it takes dozens of attempts. Several people have pointed out that I got the "it's me" flashing several times in the video. While I was aware that it existed before playing, it is infrequent enough to startle me, even to this day. It has a 0.1% or 1 in 1,000 chance to happen each second. Since each night is 535 seconds long, that gives us a 41.4% chance of it happening at least once per night. While playing, I couldn't remember off the top of my head if it meant I was actually in danger or if it was just a bonus jump scare to throw the player off. I can confirm that it doesn't really mean anything gameplay-wise, but as far as the lore goes, that's a question for MatPat. Element brought up that I didn't really check Pirate's Cove in the 420 section, so I just wanted to elaborate on that a bit. When checking the cameras, Foxy is stalled by looking at any camera. If you really wanted to, you could only check the stage camera all night and he wouldn't bother you. Since we still have the other animatronics to deal with, I chose to watch Cam 4B. This makes sure Freddy can't get in and lets us know if Chica is nearby. I would then occasionally close the right door and switch to Cam 1C to check Foxy's progress. I definitely needed to check faster than I did in the video, but generally if Foxy hits your door before 2 AM, he'll likely be able to charge you a second time later on. Speaking of Foxy, something I forgot to mention in my video is how much power he steals. The first time he hits the door, he'll steal 1% of your power. Each time after that increases by 5%. This means he steals 6% the second time, 11% the third, then 16%, and so on. For 420 mode, you can get away with 1, but 2 is where it gets difficult. Another fun fact that I sort of alluded to in the video, if you go to the custom night screen and set the AI levels to 1987, you'll get a fun Easter egg. In the earliest versions of the game, it worked like normal. Due to rumors about a bonus ending from beating it, the Easter egg was added in the 1.13 update. And that's about it for this video. Also, don't worry, the sister location video is in the works. I'll be traveling later this month, so I likely won't have it done till August, but I wanted to make this video regardless. I also have some sister location polls up on the community tab if you want to go check them out. Bye-bye.